Game started.
Oh, I've got a game. Roberto from Brazil. So I'm going to try d4. I just lost a quick game, which I'm not posting. c4. The Queen's Gambit accepted. Accepted and defended. Oh, this is a challenge. So he's not just meekly giving up that pawn. So what happened here? Bishop b7 attacks my e-pawn. So yeah, maybe e4 is not all that accurate. A lot of times I see them playing e3. I guess because you want your center solid as you take some time out to try and undermine black's pawns on the queen side, which are advanced. So if I defend it with the knight, he can push the pawn ahead. Can't defend it with the bishop. I could defend it with the queen, or with the, I could defend it with the knight from this square, which would block the queen's view of that pawn. But let's defend it for a moment. I may end up having to push those pawns forward. I don't know. Don't know how this is going to work out. And I am going to try and hold on to my center for the moment. Keep some center influence and see if that is compensation. Now, if I push immediately with b3, he can reply. So what I want to play, I think, is a4. Try and undermine the pawns this way. And if he plays knight to c6, it's two pieces will be attacking my d-pawn, and at that point I'll probably have to push it ahead. Okay, but he attacks instead my e-pawn. What does this mean? So, well, my knight on f3 is defended. So let's just push my pawn forward to e5, and if he takes, I'll take back with the knight. I have to take back with the knight in order to continue to protect the d-pawn. So queen takes, just I'm thinking if bishop takes, then queen takes just loses that. And if he plays it this way, then I have to defend my knight with the bishop, because bishop takes, and I don't want to lose the d-pawn. If I took with the queen, again, I'd be losing the d-pawn. Okay, so he's got that. Let's go ahead and take here. And now I can try and undermine this pawn. He's got a nice square here on d5. Well, my d-pawn is relatively secure for the moment. So takes, and takes with the bishop, and I get my pawn back. And if he takes this way, I take here with check. And then I can grab this pawn. And he has a check with the bishop. He doesn't have a check with the queen, fortunately. This c-pawn is blocking things. Might otherwise be embarrassing. Anyway, I was about to say, yeah, I just finished a short game where I lost due to a knight fork against my king and queen. And the only trick was the knight took a pawn that was defended by another pawn, but that pawn was in a pin. So a very simple tactic, just knight takes pawn, check, and I have to move the king. There was no other piece to take the knight but the pinned pawn, and then he takes my queen. So not a whole lot to show in that game. So I will show my losses. You've seen me lose before, but sometimes I will confess to my mistakes, but I don't necessarily want to show them all. And some are more instructive than others, of course. So let's see. I could take the pawn and defend my bishop. Let's see. Can he harass my queen there? I don't think so. If he goes with the check to try and interrupt the defense of the bishop, I can just take the bishop. And then knight comes out to harass my queen. I can take the bishop with check and then move my queen. So I think I am okay here, unless I missed something. And the knight's still holding this pawn, which is important. So let's castle and get out of trouble. And then I will think about where my dark squared bishop should go. Could just go here to defend this setup. I have kind of a good endgame here. So I'm thinking bishop d3, bishop e3, and rook to c1. And try and keep his pieces bottled up a little bit. So I don't know if this endgame is a lot better for me. Oh, yeah, he's got that, doesn't he? I forgot about that. That's annoying. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm not at my sharpest tonight. That's based on the evidence so far. So something with the rook. Yeah, that's annoying. I was going to push this pawn. Okay, so let's retreat the bishop here. I still want to bring my rook over to c1, put pressure on this pawn. Maybe push my f-pawn to f4 and then bishop to f3. And I have to check to see if I get mated over here. Bishop here, queen here. I'm not getting mated right away. He wants to exchange queens, huh? I don't want that anymore. I want to, that just helps him with his structure. Let's go to a dark square. He can do that. Now let's see, can I get my rook into a useful spot? Well, I can chase his queen off of that diagonal if this f-pawn were defended. So I could play king g2 and bishop to c4, and then his queen would have to go, can't go sideways, it would have to go back. Then I could reroute my bishop to d3 to e4, and that would pressure this pawn. Yeah, so when he took my knight with his bishop, that weakened my king side over here, but it gave me the bishop pair. So that is a compensating advantage. And this is still a weak pawn. This is a weak pawn here too, but maybe his is slightly worse. Now, if I take the queen, he takes with the bishop. Come over here with the rook. And I've got two pieces on that pawn, and he's got it defended with two pieces, but his two pieces are tied up. What's his bishop going to do there? I think I still want to keep the queen. I think I just get more leverage out of having the queen on. I can concentrate all 3 pieces on this c-pawn and then use my remaining dark squared bishop, which is not capable of attacking that light square, and use that for something else. But yeah, by piling enough force on the c-pawn, I can keep his pieces occupied. Ah, he liquidates. Yeah, smart move, I think. So I take, and he can take back with the bishop or the rook. Bishop, I take with the bishop, then he takes with the rook, hitting my queen, or he takes with the queen if he wants to. So I can throw in a move like bishop. No, that's not possible. He's not threatening to take, though, because his rook is pinned. I mean, the pawn is pinned against his rook. So why don't I just pile up the pressure on the pawn? So now I've got 4 attackers, and he's got 1, 2, 3 defenders. But he can defend with the knight now. Now that he is on a dark square, he can get both the bishop and the knight defending it. Yeah, he can move it past. Ah, that's an interesting thought too. Okay, so 2 attackers, 2 defenders. It is safe here, but it's on a light square once again. So if I advance my pawn, okay, here maybe I should trade queens. Queen up, queen takes, rook takes. How is he ever going to defend that pawn against a simple move like bishop here? His knight just can't get there fast enough, right? And you have to be careful when playing this tactic. You know, rook here, bishop here, he takes, I take. You just have to make sure that pawn doesn't queen. So he does have that. Yeah, the timing is just off on this. So rook here, pawn advances, bishop there, but it's still just 2 and 2. Still,
server announcement.
Let's maintain a blockade on that pawn anyway, and push my other pawns forward. I've gotten into an endgame phase here. And I just need to try and keep his pieces tied up. Make sure this knight doesn't get active. If I can, that would be a good strategy. And maybe try and get something going with my pieces. So where can the knight come out to? It can come out to here, here. So let's defend that pawn. See, now here, bishop here, pawn takes, rook takes. I get to take with check, but can I come back in time to stop that pawn from queening? Maybe, and then I can bring this bishop back. So that may be possible. Let's see, can I do anything with the pawns on the king side here? Okay, maybe I just play bishop to bishop d4 to keep his pieces tied up, and then bring my king over. King to f3, e3, d3. Simple plan. And hope he doesn't destroy these advanced pawns in the meantime. Yep, so black needs to come up with a plan. Getting his king in. Okay, so this ties up the rook and the bishop. And so his only free piece really is the knight, unless he can move these guys with tempo. And the knight, where can the knight really go? If he goes there, check, and well. That's just an exchange. He could go there. I would still plan to bring my king over. There's sort of a barrier set up here between the pawn and the bishop that keeps his king from getting through. Yeah, so he should try to undermine that barrier. So I'm going here. If he takes, I will take back. What have we got? Yeah, so now I have a passed pawn here, actually. That exchange maybe helped me, unless he has a way to immediately win that pawn. It's a little hard for him to get in there. So I know what the problem is. I take this pawn, and when I take this pawn, he takes, I take, he takes, I take it, then his knight can take there. So if I want to keep that pawn, I must do something else. And what else can I do here? There is a check here, is not yet effective. I can push that pawn. I guess that's this move here, g5, stopped me from playing f4. If I push the pawn, his king can come forward. And I can move my bishop. I want to move it somewhere that attacks something. Bishop here. Okay, pawn up, king here. Maybe just, see here he just pushes the pawn again, which just helps him. Bishop back to here, helps keep his king out. Okay, let's try it. Oh, but it leaves the pawn undefended. I have to bring the bishop back along this diagonal, of course. Yeah, or he can go there. So knight to here or here is possible. So bishop takes, rook takes, king takes, knight here, check. And hits this pawn. It's always something. So probably a draw. This is probably a drawish endgame. If I try f3, and he can push and I can exchange, but then I'm not losing a pawn at the end of all of that. Oh, he's just forking these guys. Well, that guy is defended at the moment. Let's kick his knight and see where he's going. The bishop is defending that pawn at the moment. His knight can't go back here, so he goes back there. Okay, so now, since he's out of that square, oh, this is a problem. I still have this, if I take, he takes, I take, he takes, I take, this check here still wins that pawn. So let's stop him from coming to this square, not that square. And if he pushes these guys, we can exchange everything. And it's probably a draw after that, actually, because you can't win with just one pawn against a piece, because the piece can sacrifice itself for the pawn, even if you have a piece. It's difficult to win. Very difficult.
Check.
So all I can hope for, yeah, he's going to go after that pawn. So king here, pawn takes, knight takes, pawn check. King here, and threatening to win the knight, and the knight has to move. and then king here attacking this pawn. So where does the knight move to? The knight could go to that square. No, or that square. The king is defending those guys. He could go here hitting the bishop. And let's see. Well, I don't have anything better than I see.
Check.
The king has to wander over here to try and defend and attack these pawns. He can go to that square, huh? Defended by the pawn. So I can go here. He takes there with check. So if he goes there, I undermine by playing h4. Or he tries to stop me that way. Okay. So let's get on this diagonal. Maybe harass this pawn. Yeah, I don't have anything. I think I better just exchange off the pawns. Because I don't see any way to win. And if he finds the right move, he might win. So it's always a tricky situation. Yep, that's probably good. Takes. And which way should I go? Let's go this way with the king. Get in front of this pawn. Yeah, now I have to go there. Sad. But otherwise my king was tied down to that pawn. He could push this guy. So he goes somewhere that attacks that pawn. I can get in front of his pawn now.
Check.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's getting a little frisky here. Let's try winning his knight. He's trying to hold on to things, huh? Well, okay, we'll play it out. Let's see. Go to this square. That's a check. Okay,
Time warning.
where's the best defensive position for the bishop? Probably on this diagonal. Let's see. Sorry. If I come to this square, I can go there. Check. I have to step back and I lose the bishop. So let's go out this way. Check, then I just drop straight back, and it'll be a few moves
Check.
before he can check me again. So the combination of the king in front of the pawn
Check.
and the bishop on this diagonal should mean that there's no way for black to make progress. So this should be a draw. May just have
Check.
to repeat moves a few times. But the good thing about this
Check.
time control is that if you know the drawing technique, oh, I should have taken it.
Check.
If you know the drawing technique, then it's simple.
check. Game drawn.
Okay, game over. Well, I think I will upload this anyway. We'll do a postmortem, see if there is any missed opportunities. Seemed like it was fairly correctly played while I was playing, but you never know. Okay, see you guys later. Bye.